Namaste, hello, and welcome to the show. This is 42nd show. So we are turning 42 today. And you can obviously guess that I am older than 42, but we will not go there. So this is our 42nd live show as part of the Manage Better series. Many of you already know that I do another series on quality management. So that is also going on well with your support. As we get a little deeper into the show, I just want to make sure that LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter are working fine. Twitter, I can see, is working fine. So, those who are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, if you can give me a shout out and where you are joining from, that will help me know that it is live. So, that with that out of the way and my spotlight out of the way, I welcome you all once again. Today is a very special show. I know that I say this very often, but today is truly special because I have two guests, two very distinguished people. One person I worked very closely with, and the other I have come to know in the last few months, and I have thoroughly enjoyed. And my respect for him has grown in the last few weeks and months that we have known each other. Uh, what is the show today? I did advertise this show as elusive secrets of building organizational excellence, and we chose that topic for a reason, right? In my promotional content and the letter also, I said that organizational success, organizational excellence, and all this bit is a little bit like Michelin five-star rating dishes. A lot goes into it, and eventually it is a simple straightforward dish you can enjoy, but what goes into it only that chef can tell you, and many times that chef cannot also recreate that in the same way because everything else changes, temperature changes, context changes, country changes, dishes, ingredients change, and many other things can change. And in my belief and what I've learned over the last several years working in this field is that organizational excellence is very much like this. But there are some people who made a difference and who have repeated this success. So they obviously have a slightly better recipe and a way of working or a way of preparing the dish, which is better. So today we will get into that topic. As you know, Manage Better is a channel where we decide and agree that none of us have been born with all the skills that we need. We can all keep learning. So this channel is more about, as you know, what can we learn today that will be useful tomorrow, and all of us can learn something. Over the last 2 years that we have been active, I have brought to you several consultants, coaches, and authors. And on that note, if you are joining the show today and you have still not subscribed to my YouTube channel or followed me on LinkedIn, this is your chance. I'll give you 1 minute, and then if you behave well, we do the rest of the session. Okay, so I do see both YouTube and LinkedIn working. Vivekananda, Suryapal, Santosh, and everybody. Thank you very much. Dr. Chandan as well. And I see Santosh from Canada. Thank you, Santosh. This must be a little late for you, but just as it is late for the person I'm going to invite to the stream. But as I invite, let me speak a little bit about him. So Raghu Kale is the founder and CEO of Striking Ideas, based out of the US, and he's had a long, successful career with Tata Group. And the last assignment he had was as vice president of the board of custodian, brand custodian of the Tata Group. Right. So, as you know, for the Tata Group, brand is very, very important, and their brand is and the trust that they carry is extremely important. So Raghu was in the middle of the office that was responsible for upholding that brand globally. He was earlier with the Taj Group and the Business Excellence Group as well. Let me now quickly invite Raghu to the stream. Um, Namaste, Raghu. How are you?
I'm
Must
fantastic, and thank you so much for inviting me to your wonderful Manage Better channel. And it has been a fascinating last few months, I must say, or weeks, since I was introduced to you and we had lovely conversations.
my
And
pleasure
yes,
as
I
well.
think you captured the essence rather well. My last assignment was with Tata Sons as Office of the Brand Custodian. Dr.
Hmm.
Mukund Rajan was the brand custodian of the Tata Sons and the group. So I worked closely with him during Cyrus Mistri's time, and even before that, when the Tata Group really installed the whole excellence model. I probably was one of the early members to work with the core team or write the first paper why Tata should adopt a framework. So that has been the history, and that's the long journey. But yes, it's been exciting, and I really like what you have here. It's a 40-second show. You've been at it for quite a while, and you do it rather well. I see you have your fan following, and I think someone joining from Canada in this hour. So you have a good good following in, and the spread I heard is pretty good. You have Twitter and uh, LinkedIn and other channels. So 40-second is a good landmark, and I think soon it will be 50. So you will be half a century soon.
Sure,
So
with your good
you and
wishes,
thank you for
Raghu.
inviting me to this show.
Totally my pleasure. And you mentioned Canada, and it might be late. You are, of course, joining from the US as well, so close to midnight for you. And so, thank you very much for taking this invitation. This time works for a lot of audience in India, so uh, grateful that you could take this time.
No worries. This is a
And with that, maybe an opportunity for you to invite our next guest on the show.
as I was saying, the fascinating journey that we have had on learning about what excellence really, really means, in a sense that first we thought it was, something that we do an assessment and we get a score. But more and more you look at it, you recognize the fact that being outstanding and extremely good, I think the organization has to be so good that even the fierce competitors will privately or otherwise will look at the organization with a sense of awe and say that they really, really do it well. And the appreciation goes, but it's a long journey. And in this journey, I think when we started to work with multiple people right from the mid 90s, when I met some very, very fascinating people. And one of these uh, personalities who actually has enhanced the quality systems for world class organizations, and his contributions have gone in for about 40 years now, and he is on several boards. I would be happy to introduce Mr. Satyendra Kumar, who I think you know him pretty well as well. So over to you. If you can bring him onto this show, that will be fantastic. There he is.
Namaste and welcome, Kumar sir. Like Raghu introduced, whichever way we introduce you, a lot more is left to be said about you. So thank you once again for being on the show, and it is a pleasure to have both Raghu and you and on the show. And the reason for that we will talk about it a little bit later, right? So uh, a little bit for the audience as I introduce Kumar in my own way as well. Of course, many of you know Kumar as the head of ex-head of quality at Infosys and the man who actually created the quality, I would say DNA at Infosys. And many of us, people like me and some on the show as well, are all products of that system who are now pretending to go around other companies and doing well. But this is where it started. So if we have anybody to thank, that is Kumar. And there are quite a few already fan clubs started in your in my feed, Kumar, for you. But the after a little bit about after your Infosys time. So Kumar has been very active as a consultant, independent consultant, and has is on several boards like Raghu mentioned. Also runs a consulting firm, and now is on the board of or the advisor to Striking Ideas as well. So welcome once again, Kumar. And one thing I forgot to mention, so if I'm anything in the world of quality today, the credit and debit both goes to Kumar because he hired me at Infosys. So I leave the debit and credit decision to you all, but let's hear from Kumar in his opening comments. Over to you, Kumar.
Thank you very much, Anshuman and Raghu, for your kind introduction. It's a pleasure always, Anshuman, to come on your show. I've been earlier here, and I've also seen some of your other shows which you do so well. I must say that your abilities to elicit responses from people, participants, and speakers is mind-boggling. In such a simple style, you're very, very effective. So thank you once again for calling me on your show. Topic is interesting and has been a passion for me for decades. I've spent many, many years on this. So look forward to the discussion today.
Sure. Our pleasure. So the format of the show, Kumar and Raghu, of course, is that I have some questions, prepared questions, which I will surprise you with, and you will get score on what you do well. But the real package of the show is that around midway in the show, and this is for my audience, those who are regulars who they already know that around mid way to the show, which is 20 minutes from now, you can start posing your questions for Raghu and Kumar. So those are the questions that truly make the show live show important, right? Because otherwise we can do this show recorded. The joy of this live show is to have live questions, and the we utilize the experience of guests that we have. So to the people in audience, if you've not been on this show earlier, of course one thing you can do very quickly is go follow all the speakers, Kumar, Raghu, myself. And if you are joining from YouTube, do subscribe to the channel so that you can get alerts. Plus, more important, you can start dropping your question in a few minutes from now, but I will start taking the questions only midway in the show. So with that, we get a little bit deeper into the show. And Kumar, this is to you. You've of course been in organizational excellence, and it goes by various names: quality, productivity, business excellence, delivery excellence, and you've seen the entire journey of the term as such in the over 4 decades that you've been active. But it is a very relative term. So we can say, and a company has achieved organizational excellence, and the next day we can say it hasn't. So it is relative in that sense. But you've been in like three different setups, the government setup, and then the Tatas, and then finally at Infosys, and even now in a slightly new avatar. And you've helped organizations reach this organizational excellence level. When do you know you have achieved this excellence level? When can we say that this organization I'm working for or supporting has reached a level of excellence?
Yeah, thank you, Anshuman. It's a difficult question. I think, uh, when do you know that you are almost there? I think it's the symptoms. When you get into an organization, starting from the reception, how you're treated, or when you look at the meetings between employees, you look at the meetings between management and employees, you look at all around you, you would feel that there is a tendency to portray a excellence kind of a behavior. It's not about running some improvement initiatives or running XYZ or really getting some certifications or getting an award. Uh, I think when in a company, all around you, the planning, the learning, employees' well-being, customer focus, high performance, and above all, finding your black spots or blank spots, and then continuously improving becomes a habit. When these things become a habit, planning, learning, high performance, and finding your spots and improving, then I think you've arrived. So, in my opinion, the symptoms would be visible or across you. You just enter an organization, and I see that regularly. Last, during my career, when I visit companies, I often find that so compartmentalization between functions and between departments that they work, though they do a good job as an independent function. But so this other word, that alignment, is very, very important, where it doesn't happen. The departments, the functions, their goals, targets don't get aligned anywhere, neither with the strategic directions of the company nor the overall purpose of the company. And therefore, even in spite of their doing a wonderful job, it gets mitigated because of unpolarization in their performance and achievements, and the company loses the benefits. So, when this perspective alignment happens, then naturally, I think the excellence behavior automatically comes in. These habits of doing these things, such as measuring your performance to find out areas to improve, when your clients seek your opinion and treat you as a trusted advisor, your employees and their families take pride in your being in the company, then I think you know that you have reached a stage where organization is in an excellence kind of a bracket. I very much certainly recall that in 2000 to 2005 or 6, when Infosys was a small company, um, the the people who were joining, and we were growing, like, every year doubling the numbers. The families wanted to visit the campuses, and they used to take pride, and we opened the campuses where they would come in and have go around, and even we had a small lake inside the campus. So I think the point was that the families and the employees and their wards took pride in visiting that company, talking about Infosys. I think when that happens, then really you have achieved, or you are there, what is called organizational excellence.
So I think the point that I take back from this, Kumar, is that it is assumed that the organization would have achieved financial success and success in market and customers and other things, but you are taking it beyond that and saying there should be trust, there should be families, all that alignment. When that happens, it is beyond a little bit of the financial success, because financial success can be short term, and it may not sustain. And that this definition completely aligns me to, or brings me to the Tata Group. So I will pose the same question to you, Raghu, that while being at the Tata Group for quite a number of years, when do you think the group realizes that we have achieved organizational excellence?
In fact, in fact, uh, when I worked in the Tata conglomerate, in a sense, from when the technology companies, and then we moved into um, support services and created the whole structure around organizational excellence. We learned a lot. But one thing, after all these years, I recognized is that organizations are, in fact, living organisms. And what we are actually trying to do is to see whether this organism, which we call as an organization, is living and breathing. What I mean by that is that the person at the top, and we have had disasters of putting a wrong person at the top, and sometimes you had not a disaster but a blessing, that you have the right person at the top, and the person at the top will create, most certainly, the kind of imprint, so to speak, with the entire organization. So the organization has to be alive. And what Kumar really said struck the nail on the head, that you never know whether organizations has arrived as an excellent organization. You can only look at it by symptoms. And over the years, the more I think about it and more I've seen, is that this word excellence is sometimes overused. It almost becomes like a buzzword. It's abused. And sometimes people believe that they deceive themselves by thinking that they are excellent, because excellence is like a mirage. It's like a cloud you're trying to hold in your hand. It's there and it's not there. And organizations also go through a cycle. And you've seen that happen in Fortune 100 companies. At one time, they get an award, they do something, and the other times, the aircraft is falling from the sky because there are glitches and things are going wrong. At one point in time, organization was really there, and then it is lost it. But when it is lost it, like Kumar said, you don't know that you have lost it. Only the symptoms will start telling you that something is going wrong. Something is going wrong. You're not able to find what happened. This is a iconic brand and we achieved something. And to bring that organization to make it alive, which means there are symptoms I've seen in some, I'm not talking about Tata companies per se, but I've heard of cases where the supervisor or the senior person has to tell people to go home. It's late now, it's time, but they are so motivated that you have to push people to go back home. And you've heard of these cases that happen. So when an organization has these symptoms where you have a huge sense of aspiration and going beyond the call of duty is not something that you have to really, start recognizing, and people are all committed to that. Those are symptoms that you see. And so it's fascinating to see that organizational excellence, as you say, you want to achieve. And so assessments are necessary. But just because you've got your assessment and you achieved a standard doesn't mean that you will live there, because it's like a leaking tank. You'll start losing it in some time. So it's like a very elusive thing. It's not very easy to capture. And that's the topic that you have used the word elusive, which is a very strong word. And that I think really captures it. You can actually, it's a subject for a lifetime, in the sense that how do you structure it and how you build it. And Kumar has been, some organizations I've seen have taken a brand route, which the Tatas have done when we were looking at it, because it's a conglomerate. We said that how do you protect the brand? And in order for the brand to be used by various companies, we will allow them to do, provided they meet certain standards of approach deployment using the framework of Aldrich, all that. One can take it. Some organizations have taken an award route, which is what EFQMs and others, because in the industry you start with an award, which also deceives some organization thinking that they arrived in life, but then after some time they start moving back. So, and then you can take an approach to say that there is a single idea, a very breakthrough idea, what Elon Musk has done with his SpaceX and other things. You take a very basic idea and you work on that, whether it is Tesla or whatever, and everything around it you want to put whatever it is, and then the organization moves into that kind of thing. Another way you can do is what Kumar always talks about. His approach has been always to do with efficiencies at every level, and that is ground up. I really admire that approach, because there's not one approach which is good or bad, but it works. But it's much more universal if you ensure that efficiencies and effectiveness is at all levels, and one can weave into the other. The brand is, hand in hand it goes. So it's a fascinating subject, and one can talk on this. I have to hold back. Over to you, Kumar. Any specific reflections you have, because you have been on the Tata side when we were writing the very first
Yeah,
framework for what we should do, and then you have done on the other side, on the efficiencies part of it.
yeah, very true, Raghu. It's an interesting area and a topic, and such a large area. I think I have seen two, three things. One is that there's a confusion that sometimes quality guys think that quality departments, that they are the excellence functions. Okay, that's the first mistake happens. Similarly, the confusion get created in the senior management mind, top management, that who are the guys who can help me. So if I have to, so generally, very often nowadays, with the proliferation of whole lot of the tools and techniques, so there are people who will say, I'm a EFQM guy, I'm a Baldrige guy, I'm a Six Sigma guy and a lean guy. I think that's another area where the senior management needs to be enlightened, and this, they need to understand that this whole game of, or a whole perspective of excellence need to be imbibed in the companies, how to move forward on that. So that's a difficult topic in general, but as I'm a person, a practicing person, and you mentioned it, Yes, it was long back. Other day, Mr. Bhagwat asked me, who was one of the very senior leaders in Tata's, that you were how did you transition into this role? How did you leave? Why did you leave Tata's? Okay. So somewhere in my mind, I was very clear, even at that point of time, that I had worked in the government. I had worked as independent consultant till then, till 96, 95, 96, 1995, 96. That and also with the Tatas, my role, all that was primarily around consulting, helping companies to move better, whether on a particular framework or a model or a certification, how to get a certification, etc. But I was aching at that point of a time to if I am in the company, can I do it myself? Because the nuances and challenges are very, very different. And I think last many years, which is almost like now 20 21 years, 22 years since 2000, I have been practicing. I've been a practitioner where that has challenged me, that what happens on the floor, how do you manage people, how do you manage your bosses, and how do you manage markets, how do you manage business challenges, and so on and so forth. And that excites me.
No, thanks, Kumar. Thanks, Raghu. Fantastic journey and so many lessons to pick from this. And the one lesson I learned, of course, working closely with Kumar, was that we are all diagnosticians first. We first have to be able to diagnose what is wrong and what medicine to give. Don't jump with the medicine and shove it down the patient's throat, because we don't know. Right? So, like you mentioned, Kumar, it could be Lean, it could be Baldwin, it could be Six Sigma, it could be many other tools or methods. But what is work, that is the differentiation of an organizational excellence person or a consultant or advisor, that what will work now, not my favorite tool, but what is required in that situation. So thank you once again for that lesson. And what I'll do is now, I'll quickly jump into one additional question, which I've been itching to ask, is that while now we know a little bit as to when the organization will know, the show is branded as the Elusive Secrets. So, what are Kumar's secrets of building organizational excellence? Um, in summary, I know that this show is too brief for you to detail it out, but what would be your summary of Kumar's secret recipe for organizational excellence?
So you want me to answer or Raghu to answer? No.
No, no, you first answer. We'll bring in Raghu later.
All right. I think, Anshuman, there are no, like a hidden secrets in CIA or FBI working there. uh, what happens is, in an organization, there are a lot of ingredients. I mean, somewhere I work with the hospitality sector too. So, um, some time back you asked me recipe stuff and all that. So yes, it's very easy to talk about a recipe in a hospitality, straightforward, much simpler. Yes, there's a chef and there are materials, and then you have the steps to follow. But in spite of that, a lot of people use those recipes. Still, some make it better than others, and that's where many restaurants are known for. How great the taste is, and so on and so forth. Now, it's like, as I said, there are ingredients in an organizations are very complex, unlike a simple recipe. These recipients, these ingredients could vary from, how do you have the great leaders, or how do you build the competent leaders in the company. The ingredients of organization excellence could be, how do you ensure there is a long-term planning, and there are right goals and targets for the strategic directions. How do you ensure an environment where, and not only ensure an environment, but sustain an environment where employees and customers feel engaged? How do you ensure high performance? And uh, how do you ensure the organization is competent to deal with not only for today's what is desired by the market and customers, but tomorrow's challenges? How do you ensure measurement? So these are all ingredients in a company to mobilize, find your weaker spots and keep forever improving, and so on and so forth. Problem is that these ingredients, unlike in a recipe of restaurant, are much more complex. Not only complex, they are dynamic in nature. Unlike ingredients in recipe are by and large static. They don't change. Here, the behaviors of people change, competencies change, market demands change, and so on and so forth. So how do you deal with that? And that's not a mean task. In each of these areas, further down, drill you down, you will find some catalytic factors, which, how do you manage these factors, which could be in the form of interrelationships or dependencies amongst various entities. Okay. So, which is what makes the difference to achieve a sustainable performance. So, I think somewhere in the book, also, or in general, when I deal with the companies, I look for some of these finer points which often we miss out. And again, the
The
background you
background
come,
you come,
you may find some very interesting facets in a company which others don't do, and they're being effective. Now, not many people understand them, so I call them as some kind of a hidden gems or secrets or elusive, which people don't pick up. So I've tried to pick up these and tried to, even in my consulting assignments. Simple example I'll give you. In many companies, uh, I work with very wide variety of range. Even today, I'm working with a five-star hotel in Trivandrum. I'm working with two IT companies, small. I'm working with a logistics company and a Ayurvedic wellness clinic. So often a question is asked to me, what do you do? So answer sometimes is so cryptic by me that I have learned to understand this blood pressure and sugar problem in companies, which are horizontal diseases. And therefore I pick up from there. And these are the hidden gems. Sometimes they provide you that very often in companies. I'll tell you, I find the gap between the senior management and the people on the floor. People on the floor know their problems, they know their solutions, but the management doesn't agree or doesn't listen to them.
Correct.
So sometimes, very often, my role in companies is only that, to be able to understand what these guys are saying at the bottom, and how do I convince the top layer where the potential and capabilities exist. So some of these are the things which I call it as a elusive kind of elements, and if you pick them up, they are very catalytic in nature. They are very essential in nature, and that's what I work around.
Thanks, Kumar. Raghu, I'll come to you in a minute, but something Kumar was saying that prompted me to uh, jump in a little bit. So we carefully chose the word elusive because elusive does not mean that it is a secret or we don't know. It only means it is difficult to catch. So it is out of your reach generally, right? But like everybody knows it, like Kumar mentioned, many of these things are not secrets, but we are unable to catch it, and it takes somebody of the experience and intellect and wisdom of Kumar to be able to distill it into simple term. And that's all. I've always believed that the mark of a leader in any space, not just our organizational excellence, but in any field, is how the person can simplify the topic. And we just heard a masterclass in last 5 minutes of simplifying a very difficult topic of organizational excellence. But I'll come to you, Raghu. You know a little bit more about this elusive secrets of.
Everyone has something to add, obviously. So yeah, I think Kumar has really got the nuts and bolts and ingredients to make it. But yeah, I can, when you're ready, I can give my take on that. But go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Now is your turn. You.
Uh, Coming back to what Kumar has been saying, I think the way I see it is that when an organization has the appetite or the capability, collectively and individually, to be able to think beyond transactional mindset. You can have a transactional mindset to say that we will sell so much and we'll get so much, and for this much work that I do, I will expect this kind of return. And so what are the opportunities in the market? We got to do this, that, and the other. And surprisingly, I found that even some of the organizations and some of the leaders, so-called leaders, sometimes can't get away from a transactional oriented mindset. 80% of their talk is more on the transaction oriented. If you pay close attention, is that who is able to differentiate between transactional mindset and value that you're creating for your entire value chain at different levels? That's a tall take. And excellent organizations understand because they have the mission and the vision very clearly understood right up to the bottom, everybody. They're constantly learning, they're constantly sharing. And so symptoms which ingredients which Kumar mentioned very clearly will be all at play. So the elusiveness comes in is when you have the ability and they will able to comprehend. Now, you rightly put it that elusive is not something, it's not a secret, but it's difficult to catch. And bright people, when they read something or get it, they immediately catch it. Sometimes some people say that I've heard this talk or I've read this book and I have so informative, so many nuances in that. And then after a few months, I read it again. Oh my God, this time when I'm reading it again, I'm catching new things which I missed out. So that's what happens, that you have an assembly of multiple things and then you're reading it second time, third time. So you might catch those elusive secrets and you understand things differently. Each time you read it, you will get something new that you will capture. It's like you mentioned the chef. I remember working with some of the chefs who are really, stars. So why is it that he says, "Give me the recipe, give me the recipe"? All right, you can have the recipe. We made the recipe, but it doesn't taste the same. Something is missing. So it's not just getting the recipe, but how the chef is making it, what it is. There are so many nuances which you are not able to capture just by giving the recipe. The excellence will not transmit, and that is the elusiveness of it, which I mentioned earlier, that it's a mirage and it's very difficult to achieve over a long period. And when you do it over a long period of time, then many things that Kumar said, you are able to continue to do that consistently over a long period, and then and then be able to retain yourself there is the challenge.
Yeah, Raghu, Anshuman, with your permission,
Please.
yeah. I suddenly remembered,
Yes.
way back when I joined Infosys 2000, and I think within a few months, Nandan asked me, called me. He says, many of our clients, not only they're very happy with us, but they want to have this process of ours, this process book of ours. Now, he says, I've been in the past by my predecessors were not allowed. They said, no, 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 we can't give it to them, and so on and so forth. What's your opinion? I said, you tell me any day, please give it. There's nothing proprietary in it. And any process which is written is around a certain kind of a culture, certain kind of an environment, certain kind of a leadership, certain kind of behaviors. And unless that is there in the organization, this process is not going to work. They will take many, many years to reach that level to be able to use this process. So I said, he was so happy that he says, so I'll send you the names of these CIOs and all that. Please, whatever you want to, go ahead.
Give
And
it
we
away.
did that. We did that.
Absolutely. I think that is another hallmark of
This
get
exists
achieved.
for a Tesla case study. If you look at Elon Musk and his company, they want to keep the patents in the public domain. They said, please copy it, please make it, we want to make sure that we share with everyone. That is the audacity of reaching a level of so-called excellence, that you are able to do things and have pride in it and want to share it even with competition. That we're not going to hold back. We want it to be shared. So those are the kind of levels that you reach, and then you're able to do that. So
Okay,
very fascinating.
Raghu, we are two-thirds into the show. It
Yeah,
is time to share some news that we wanted to share about Kumar.
to
So,
you, up to you. Yes.
yeah, so those who are in the show and those who will watch the show later, we are also together in the show because Kumar's first book, which is not coincidentally titled Elusive Secrets in Building Organizational Excellence, is out today. It is already available for pre-order in at Amazon, and Raghu will tell us a little bit more about the book. And if he has the book around him, though it is midnight for him, he could probably show
I
it
have
to
it
us as
right
well.
here. We are. This book will
Yes,
be
yes,
is
midnight.
available for pre-order, of course,
Hmm.
and 5th of January is when it is getting shipped. So book your copy and pick it up, and Kumar will tell you more about it. This is a fascinating journey we've had, and Striking Ideas is the publisher of the book. We are a very bespoke organization in the publishing domain, that we handpick and do a few books, and there's a method and the process behind it which we engage with, and we make that work. So I'm happy to say that the pre-orders are there, and it is titled Elusive Secrets in Building Organizational Excellence. Fascinating book, fascinating book. It's a
So I'm super delighted that Kumar's book
Kumar
is
will
out.
tell you more. He got the
I will ask I'll ask him how you bullied him into this, but but
feeling of
before
getting a hardcover. Tell him.
before that, Kumar, many congratulations. We all have been waiting for you to write a book for many years, and eventually you have done so. Already, congratulations are pouring in. So thank you, and thank you very much for choosing my show to unveil and talk about this book. And several users are now talking about it. So, friends, hold on. If you want to buy, hold on for a few days. It is just pre-order right now. I will on my LinkedIn updates. I will post how you can buy when it is available for you to buy. You can still pre-order. It is available in some countries in bulk as well already. But Kumar, quickly over to you. Anything about the process of writing that you wanted to share? And we still have to take a few questions from the audience. So my audience will kill me if we
Yeah, I'll
don't.
not make it longer. So thank you, Anshuman, and thank you, everyone. Let me truthfully say that I had no plans to write a book. Um, because on this subject, there are a lot of books written. I mean, for many decades, I've been seeing an OE or organization excellence. So much is written. Um, However, whenever I read a book on this, they were mostly theoretical or a textbook kinds, or at best some kind of a criteria for evaluating a situation or to get an award that seemed to lack the touch and the feel of the dynamics of a running organization. And that's where perhaps I my friends have been pushing me for long, and of course Raghu finally nudged me and persuaded me to almost a year back to move to write this book, and I tried to put many decades of my experience into it. It's a book more, as we have already discussed earlier part of this discussion, that there are finer nuances, there are ingredients which have some catalytic perspective, which doesn't happen, and hence achievements do not come. So I've tried to delve with that elusiveness part of it, and of course, when you read it, anybody who reads it, he would discover it so his own some of these elusive secrets, because depending on what background you come from, and depending on where you come from, you would find something very interesting for you there. So, uh, from that angle, book is written in a very very simple manner, very uh, you know make it so that everybody can read it. It's not written in a complex manner. Um, I think the book really. addresses some of the finer areas which I believe are extremely vital for companies. They may sound simplistic, but when you get into the details of that, you will find I've tried to push in certain anecdotes and certain examples, certain real stories there, which may be very, very simple, but it works. And when you will go through that, you will find it, you will sometimes it may be amusing too for many of you, but that's how we went ahead, and Raghu was extremely helpful from the very beginning. Not only he pushed me and nudged me, but they have been, he's been kind enough to regularly review, in a month, few times, sometimes week on week, and sometimes I'll go to sleep because I don't know, I'm saturated with the thought. I'll whatever I have written, I'll sometimes find that it is all bullshit, sometimes, or what have I done? And then Raghu will have a call with me, and he's like a reflector. I will reflect with him, and he'll say, "No, no, hold on, let's move on." So that's how I think we arrived at this stage we are in today, and I'm very thankful to him, and I'm so relieved that I have done it. So thank you.
We, I can tell you, Kumar, amongst your fan club, we are grateful to Raghu that he was the one who finally was able to nudge you, push you, cajole you, coax you, bully you, whatever he did, it has worked, right? So, Raghu, we haven't been able to convince him for years. So you deserve some award only for this.
Anshuman, this is nothing about an award for me, or I've not done anything extraordinary, but this is what the bespoke services that we have as part of Striking Ideas. Me and my team, we have a methodology that we have worked out. Because see, what happens is not everybody is a writer, but
Correct.
the experience that the person has accumulated over decades, if we can tap into this and bring it out into a very, very well written book which the person writes.
Hmm.
So the method that we have, there is a method that we adopt, and we actually guide appropriately. And Kumar has gone through this, because his first line in his thing is that I would have never ever expected that I would ever write a book, is his opening lines in the book itself when you read. But so the methodology that we have is for pro support and full service, in a sense that there are some people who write books, and then our team will get involved in making sure that the target audience is appropriate and help them curate it properly. But there will be another approach where we will do it on a week by week, and to extract exactly from the author and allow them to create their book. So there's a whole methodology around it as to what we do. And there are times when week on week, every week we would have one review with him, or sometimes we missed it, but that is our rhythm. So it has taken 50 weeks or so, but by the time first 3 months will go into really looking into what are the areas that you're looking at, which market, who's going to benefit. Because when I look at Watson and IBM and the AI, this tacit and explicit knowledge has to get transmitted and get absorbed into a book like this. And I think we are working with authors for that particular aspect. So we keep a few, but Striking Ideas, we do a few books, and we will continue to do that. So thank you, Kumar, for trusting me and my team to bring the best out of you. But he has sleepless nights, and that he can write another book on how he wrote the book.
Thanks, Raghu, for sharing the unique method as well. And I'm sure some people in the audience will be interested in knowing more about the method. So you can certainly check Raghu's LinkedIn page and his website for more. And in case you are one of those people who want to write, please do get in touch with Raghu to take it forward. Time for some questions, Kumar. I have Shikha is regular on this show, and she's asking about, do you believe that the state of well-being linked personal goals to organizational goals of the stakeholders, employees, and management contribute, or is it a key area of focus in the days to come? And of course, she's very pleased that you brought in the mention of the family. Anything on this quickly, and then we'll take two, three more questions.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Shikhar. Very nice question. Uh, I think it's very important for any company, any organization to ensure that their people are happy, and their people are just not happy with the professional work, but we are all human beings. We all have our responsibilities, accountabilities, spouses, children, and we all fall sick sometimes. We all have various challenges at the personal fronts. So I have also dealt with this area in the book as well, that it is not just organizations ignore that aspect, and they just look at black and white, what is the need of the organization. They need to create that environment in the company, work environment, which takes care of, which looks at, which understands these facets. And in fact, there's a full chapter on it I have devoted on that.
Living
That how,
organisms, yeah.
yeah, where people uh, perspective leaders need to understand, because at the end of the day, the people are the living beings, and they are the soul of the organization. If they are not being looked after, their facets, perspectives, challenges are not being looked after the COVID. In fact, it is further compounded because all companies are struggling with the flexi times, and though flexi time was being talked of for decades together, but now people have started understanding that it is important to view their personal dimension and to be able to integrate it to function more productively and more efficiently. So I have definitely dealt with it, Chika, and I definitely appreciate this area. Excellence organizations cannot become excellent if they don't deal with this area.
Thanks, Kumar. Uh, Surprise note from partner in crime. Uh, so,
Right. Well,
Rajkumar's note. Thank you, Rajkumar, for your wishes. Of course, this is more a comment, but he has a question as well. Why current business leaders in the world don't focus on all stakeholders equally? What is lacking? Very loaded question, Kumar, but a quick response if you can.
yeah, thank you, Rajkumar Bansal. I know him personally, and wonderful gentleman, hardworking. Many years we worked together. So, very loaded question. Definitely, my answer is very simple, Rajkumar. That there are many facets and factors. One is, of course, that today's world is a more instant world, that you need results quickly, and the financial results quickly, and that's where many constraints get into the company, because CXOs get fired if in a year or two of joining the results are not visible. So their focus changes, their stakeholders' focus changes. Having said that, I think organizational excellence is all about ensuring that, and any organization which really wants to be excellent, sustain over many, many years, uh, they will have to look at all stakeholders. And I would believe that every standard, if you look at it today, talks about it. Unfortunately, I mean, even the sometimes we take ISO 9000 in a very light manner and a very rudimentary manner. But the fact is that standard, even that today, very exclusively looks for it, that who are your stakeholders, what are their expectations are. Unfortunately, neither companies look at that seriously, nor the auditors look at that seriously, and they get away with it. So it will have to be looked at if the companies want to call them organizationally excellent. And to reach there, you have a long journey before you reach there to do so. So thanks for your question, Raj.
Okay, a couple of more, and Raghu, feel free to pitch in where you want to. So Devraj, of course, works with the Tata Group itself in the very very proficient in the Tata Business Excellence model and the group. His question is more around: is it really possible to build organizational excellence, or you explore what are the characteristics values that already exist in the organization, and then you nurture those, leveraging the people within the organization. So anything on this, Kumar?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I appreciate Devraj what you're saying. I think in general, I would say that you have to leverage the. Of course, first you need to be aware of your. Uh, Raghu always calls it elevated awareness. So that awareness has to be there at the top level around or about the excellence. You need to leverage this. I find that again the same thing, the alignment between the market requirements, your strengths, your ability to find your weaknesses in the company, your measurability in the company, if they are being looked at seriously by the leadership. Often I've not in my book handled the chapter of leadership in a very detailed manner because it's a horizontal. It touches all aspects of all every aspect of everything in the company. So if they are so-called the great leaders, then definitely they will have to look at, and it can be done.
One thing I realized in his question, if I can see the question again, I
Sure.
think, see, there is always there's always kinetic energy and there's a potential energy. So there will be something for movement and there will be something in a stationary form. His question very nicely puts it. My question is it really possible for organizational excellence, or you explore what the characteristics values exist? So characteristics, values, nurturing, all of this is all potential energy. But the missing ingredients here is that the vision. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 3 years? When you grow up, what will you look like? If you put that ingredient, then you will have all kinds of problems, saying that in order for us to achieve this, we don't have the kind of capability, we need to develop those capability, acquire new companies, then there is a different culture that is coming in. So all of those things, alignment, all of that will start happening. So the missing ingredients here is to achieve excellence. First, you have to know that what you want to achieve, and the vision is very critical in terms of what you want to do. Whether you want to achieve 100 companies in the Tata Group, CEO comes to the group for 5 years, give a target saying that every year, because innovation is an important thing in the group, we had announced it. And one of the things facetiously, I used to debate that and say that give a target that in a year, at least one breakthrough, which is shaking up the industry, you put a target for that. If out of 100 companies, even if 10 companies do it, you will have every year, you will have a breakthrough that is happening. So the vision part as to what you want to achieve is an extremely important ingredient, which has to go hand in hand with all the values and character and all of that. So it's a full consolidated package, and then you have all kind of troubles you have to deal with in terms of alignment, in terms of assessment, in terms of tools and everything else that has to go in.
Sure. Thanks, Raghu. Thanks, Kumar. Maybe probably the last one, or if possible, we will squeeze one more. Santosh, who joined in from Vancouver, his question is about sustaining. Once you reach the excellence position, there are so many other factors like attrition, financial pressure, priorities. How do you balance all this when these priorities are pulling from different directions? Any comment on this, Kumar?
Yeah, so I think Santosh again goes back to what we have been talking about, that excellence is not something you have done in one area. Excellence is a pervasive across the company, and you have to ensure that each area uh, is comes up to the level which could be called excellent. An earlier question to shareholders pressures. So there's a short term versus long term. If the organizations do not have the long term vision, what Raghu talks, or a larger purpose where they want to move, and they do not bring it in terms of their strategic goals and targets to achieve in those directions, and even in strategic directions, how do they balance various stakeholders' needs? If they only look at financial needs, then they are not looking at the other dimensions. So where is the excellence
Transactional,
in these?
transactional mindset.
transaction mindset. So where is the excellence? These are not excellent behaviors. So one has to look at all dimensions to be called as a organizationally excellence.
Sure. Um, I have several more questions, Kumar, but I think now we are at the stage where we will we are up on time. So once again, thank you very much, and thank you, Raghu, for firstly, being on the show, sharing your thoughts, and also helping me unveil Kumar's book as well. So once again, many congratulations, Kumar. Still pouring in about the book, and we will all look forward to reading it. I've of course read a earlier draft, so I have a slight head start in many ways. But I can confirm to everybody on the show that it will be a fantastic book. This is not a book which is like a textbook or will have a model or 10 things to do or 5 things to do this. It's not that. So you will you can read it in one day and you can't read it in 1 year. So it is that kind of a book. So if you are truly reading it, you probably may not be reading it in 1 year. But if you are glossing over it, you might read it in one day as well. So it's one of those very elusive kind of books, I would say, where
It is a book endorsed by business luminaries of today for business luminaries of tomorrow. That's how I would sum up, literally, because the business luminaries of tomorrow will be the ones who will read this book to pick the elusive secrets.
certainly. So we will look forward to that. And with that, I will close the show. Thank you to the audience. And I know that today we could not go through many of the questions because there were just too many questions for Kumar. So we probably might have to call him again for another show, only for a Q&A. But that we can do only when you've read the book and you mention that this is the section that you have a question from, so that we can then punish Kumar in remembering what he wrote, why he wrote on that particular day. So we'll look forward to that. And with that, Kumar, once again, thank you very much. It's an honor and pleasure to have you on the show once again. And to my lovely audience, thank you. And till we see again, bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank,
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.